All right, shalom, shalom, shalom. All praises to the Most High, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, which is to say in the Paleo Hebrew, Yahweh, which is the name of our Heavenly Father, meaning He is, and that is who the world ignorantly calls God. Bahashem, which means in the name, Yahweh Shai, meaning He is our salvation, and that is who the world also ignorantly calls Jesus, a so-called black man who, by the way, only came for the Israelites, all right? And speaking on the Israelites, this is a segment of the podcast Redacted that went into how they captured Nicolas Maduro and some of his soldiers being incapacitated by some of the what we call or what they call directive energy weapons that Esau has, okay? And some of the soldiers of Maduro claim to have had blood coming out of their orifices, whether it was their nose, eyes, whatever, and the equipment that the United States military used to kidnap Maduro, okay? And this is why we tell you that our weapons are not carnal, because we cannot come up against Esau, because the Lord gave him the blessing through Isaac to have dominion over the whole earth via by the way of the sword, okay? And this technology was given to him by the Father for this very specific moment that we're coming into, Jacob's trouble, leading up into the missiles destroying Babylon the Great. So without any further wait, let's let this play, and we're going to get some precepts afterwards, all right? Fair use, fair use, fair use. Check this out.
The United States used directed energy weapons on Venezuelan soldiers during its kidnapping raid to capture Nicolas Maduro. Redacted has independently confirmed this news from multiple sources. And what we can tell you is that this isn't new technology, and the United States has used it on multiple previous occasions that have gone unreported. More on that part of the story in a second. But first, what happened last week? Because even if you think you're pro this raid or anti this raid against Maduro, it doesn't matter. You should still be asking, what in the world did the United States actually deploy in Caracas on January 3rd, 2026? And what is it, and how did it work exactly? First, this was Operation Absolute Resolve, part of a larger Caribbean campaign, and the U.S. used roughly 150 aircraft in strikes around Caracas before Delta Force and CIA operatives grabbed Maduro and Celia Flores and then flew them out. Reuters also frames this as like a strategic message, especially to China.
So this is why they can go into other people's territory and take them, okay? Because they have the blessing, which is the sword, and that's how they ruling by, all right? This is why they're known as the hammer of the earth, all right? In the book of Jeremiah, if I'm not mistaken, chapter 51, all right? You cannot come up against this man. It's his blessing to rule with the sword, all right? This is how we would know who he is, or partially how we would know who he is, besides his wickedness, is his technology, all right? You think you're going to start a revolution carrying a 9 or 45 or AR? This man, we're going to see what type of weapons he has, all right? Hint, it's in the name directive energy weapons.
And Russia, which supplied air defenses, they were quickly disabled in the opening moments, offline. Now, here's where it gets pretty freaky, and I'm sure many of you have seen the transcript that's now been circulating from a Venezuelan security guard loyal to Maduro. In fact, White House press spokesman Carolyn Levitt even retweeted it. So it got a lot more coverage, basically confirming that, yet, this is true. The story he tells lines up with what a modern electronic warfare and directed energy weapons can do, and this admission by him spooked a lot of people. And by the way, I should point out that the technology that was used is decades old. The stuff that we have now, just mind-blowing. Stuff that they're working on now that makes this stuff look like ancient in a lot of ways. So this is what the Venezuelan soldier told. I'm going to read a portion of the transcript here. He says, quote, all of our radar systems shut down without any explanation. And then the next thing we saw were drones, a lot of drones flying over our positions. He then describes barely 8 helicopters and maybe 20 men total, but with a level of technology advantage that made hundreds of defenders feel totally helpless. Let me put on the screen one piece of this quote, which is really the full tell here. He says, at one point they launched something, it was like a very intense sound wave. Suddenly I felt like my head was exploding from the inside. We all started bleeding from our noses. He says, guys were vomiting blood and unable to move. We couldn't even stand up after that sonic weapon or whatever it was.
And this is what's coming, an all-out chaos during Jacob's trouble. You're not going to be able to defeat this man, all right? And as I forgot his name on Redacted said, this is technology that they had decades ago. So you can only imagine what they got now, all right? And they're going to use this stuff during martial law when they are deployed to what they would call crowd control. We're going to see some of the direct energy weapons that they use during crowd control, all right? And it's going to blow your mind when you see it, man, all right? But just in this extrapolation of them taking out Nicolas Maduro, his soldiers said that they had weapons that made their heads feel like they were going to explode and their nose to bleed and vomit, all right? You think you're going to be able to stand up against something like this with a goddamn 45 or a 9 or an AR or whatever you think you got? This is why we need the Lord, man. This is why he's sending his servants, the prophets, out to tell you to repent and to return back to him. Because he's going to let this man Esau Edom, the so-called self-proclaimed white man, get loose in a little bit. All right?
Those are his words. First, the eyes go blind, and then the bodies just fall down in a heap, basically. Nose pouring blood out. Your head feels like it's going to explode. Totally helpless. So what are we really talking about here when we say directed energy? Well, a bunch of people online are kind of mashing 3 different things together. First, electronic warfare means attacking the spectrum. That means you don't need to blow up a radar if you can just jam it, if you can just spoof it, if you can just overload it, or cut the network. It depends on, totally. So it's just sitting there stupid. It can't do anything. The Economic Times describes something it calls the Wraith as an electronic warfare umbrella used in the Maduro capture, creating a digital blackout that paralyzed security infrastructure. Now, important note, there's also some confusion around.
And let me just pause it to say, good luck if you think you're going to go off grid and use generators if a EMP, electronic magnetic pulse attack happens. He's going to knock your generators offline, all right? So you're not going to be able to get away from this, all right? Pretty much is what's going on, okay? And it's only going to get worse.
That name as well, because a defense company, CX2, also markets a product called Wraith, and they describe it as an autonomous airborne electronic warfare platform that geolocates high-value emitters like jammers, radars, and ground control systems. And here's their promo video for jamming part of this, for that jamming part of the story. Let's take a look at this. You see this guy sitting up he's a bad guy there, because you can tell because he's got a mask on, right? He's a bad guy. And they say, all of our drones are down. You know what we're going to do? We're going to send in the Wraith. Let's send in the Wraith, and we're going to take him out. And basically takes him out, removes all of the jamming, and totally turns the tables. So this raid wasn't just bullets, it was total control of the airwaves. Second piece of this, directed energy piece of the story, these things that hit you with radio frequency or millimeter wave.
And Esau is going to be hunting you Israelites, you 2/3, man. All right? See, the only thing that's separating the elect of Israel from the 2/3 is that the Lord is going to be on our side, because he's going to come after us as well. But when he shows up to come after the elect, he's going to be met with resistance, all right? With men that's going to be endowed with spiritual powers in that time. Now, will some of us get scooped up and taken down to these detention centers? Yes, because we're going to be given for a testimony of Yahushua, but there's going to be a portion of us, of the elect, that's going to receive spiritual powers as well. Because this is going to all be in conjunction to give glory to the names Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. All right, so whether we get scooped up or whether we get endowed with that spiritual power, we're going to be given a testimony for Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. All right, so don't fear any of these things, okay?
To create immediate pain and force movement without a traditional projectile, so not hitting you with a bullet. The Pentagon has publicly described this as active denial technology, as a focused beam.
And wait till you see the active denial technology. If this is real, this is a game changer.
Of radio frequency millimeter waves that penetrate only about 1/64th of an inch, the equivalent of like 3 sheets of printed paper. That's it. Into your body, creating like an intolerable heating sensation that stops you.
Did you hear that? This active denial system can penetrate 1/3, which is about 3 sheets of paper, into your body, sending signals to your body, your central nervous system, to make it feel like it's on fire, even though you're not on fire. And watch the experiment that they're going to do to show you how it works.
Like in your tracks. And then, by the way, when you step right out of the beam, you're like, oh, it's gone. So it only goes down 1/64th of an inch on your skin. And it's intolerable. You got to move. And if you want a pop culture moment from this, to make this real for people, there's literally a Fox News segment when I used to work at Fox News many moons ago.
I think his name is Clayton, okay? And as he said, he used to work for Fox News back in the day. So he reported on this, all right? So he has some type of in-depth analysis, and he's going to show you just a little bit. So check this out.
Where I interviewed my old colleague, Peter Ducey, who tested this active denial system at the time, and he described exactly what it felt like. Listen.
Wow, the U.S. military revealing its brand new crowd control instrument that could also protect U.S. ships from pirates, the very intrepid. Peter Ducey volunteering to test this thing out, Allie.
And no, he was not the guy doing the shooting. He was actually shot at, and Peter's going to tell us what it felt like and show us that moment. Peter, take it away.
Allison, I'll tell you first that I learned this week firsthand. Non-lethal also means not pleasant. Look at this. You can't see it, hear it, or smell it, but it makes unruly mobs do this. The Defense Department's active denial system, a non-lethal weapon that can be used to control crowds, secure perimeters, and keep pirates at bay. It could be a game changer.
This is one of the things that we can shoot first and ask questions later. Normally you can't do that.
So there you go. That's just an example of what that looks like, that he went through the process.
So you saw it in action, all right? They can direct it towards a crowd, shoot it at them, and it can send them running through a sensation of burning in their body, even though they're not being burned, all right? This is what Esau has, man. This is what they use to capture Maduro, to incapacitate his soldiers. All right, and you want to go up against this. All right, see, you Jakes, you're gonna come to realize you ain't gonna save yourself at all, man. All right, this devil got shit, the likings that we never seen. All right, and he's gonna bring it out and just show you during this time of Jacob's trouble, man. All right, you're gonna find out why we need the Lord to deliver us.
And got zapped as well. So the third piece of this is the sonic or acoustic system. Oh, by the way, I should point out, like, that giant array that you saw there, that was decades old. Now it's tiny. They don't need this massive thing anymore. So now the third piece of this is the sonic or the acoustic systems, using sound as a weapon. Some systems are used for crowd control or area denial. Others discussed in the context of disorientation, sort of nausea in all of this. And Carolyn Levitt, of course, posted on Twitter, these the things that we have are very advanced using these sonic weapons. So I'm going to play a soundbite from congressional testimony talking about how these weapons work. Watch.
There's no entry or exit wound. How they're designed is to make the target feel like they're crazy, like they're imagining things, especially on the low duration, the low intensity, long duration hits.
Are either of you aware of any individuals who have AHI symptoms have passed away from their ailments?
I do.
I do.
Have any of you three panelists ever seen one of these weapons?
I have seen a 1991 version of the weapon, and it looks like a satellite dish with a unit this size attached to it. Which, of course, over the years, miniaturization has been possible. Obviously, there's a limitation to how miniaturized it can be because of.
See, and this is the thing about this devil, man. All right, he'll set up these satellites that now they're miniaturized where he could put them in neighborhoods, and you wonder why Jake is flipping out and bugging out, man. All right, because they being directed through these acoustic sound energy weapons, man. All right, and this damn devil, going all the way back to what was called the Black Wall Street, he bombed that place, man. So this devil's finna really get loose, all right? And if you're not right with the Lord, you're gonna be part of this, all right? When he comes in like that flood.
The antenna size, which is always related to the wave, but still, it is something that can be well contained in the trunk of a car or even a large backpack.
Yeah. So
damn, so he could drive through a neighborhood and pretty much emit this energy, acoustic sound from the back of his car in the trunk, or from a book bag, man. Okay. So, hey, don't bug out or flip out if you at one of these protests and somebody just all of a sudden flip out and go crazy because this person walked by him with a book bag or drove by him with a trunk and trigger something and cause everything to go bananas. And this is why we tell you, don't integrate or involve yourself with this devil, man. Stay away from these protests. Stay away from these riots. Hey, you're supposed to be seeking the Lord 10 times more now, especially now that we at the end of this thing.
have you seen anyone, do you know anyone who's passed away? It's supposed to be non-lethal. Non-lethal. Do you know anyone who's passed away from it? Yes. Good, Phil.
They're starting to see these in some of the protests around the country. In the U.S., sitting in the back of pickup trucks. I've seen several images.
See there? And it's only going to get worse. When y'all try to do and join hand in hand, as it says in Proverbs, though hand join in hand, the wicked will not go unpunished. You take your ass out there, you go to these protests, you think you standing up for, what's the lady name? Nicole Good. Next thing you know, you wind up getting on the back of a milk carton missing, or even, worse, you gotta be the star at a cemetery. Now your family mourning because somebody came through and hit you with a beam, and now you done went bananas, man.
Recently of these like sonic weapons in the back of pickup trucks at protest sites.
Yeah, for crowd disbursement, firing these microwaves. But they're non-lethal. But, you've also seen people die from them. Yes. So, in the immediate, no, it's non-lethal. However many months later,
I mean,
who knows?
In the case of a protest, though, I mean, yeah, it could be for crowd dispersal or incitement. Because, I mean, if it makes you crazy, like if they're just doing this low sort of like, annoying buzz into a crowd, like can it ramp things up? It's dangerous stuff all around.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. Well, here's the piece of this story that drives me nuts, though, right? Which is that conservative influencer victory lap stuff. I'm so over it now. Like, we're so back. America's unstoppable. No one else has this technology. You've seen all the tweets about this, right?
All right, so that's going to be about it. But this is a good segment, okay? And then he brings a lady on, and they go into the side effects of 6G, all right? And how 5G is setting the stage for 6G with all these wearables, which is going to even more contribute to the person's health through the megahertz and things of that magnitude, all right? So this was a very good segment of this show, Redacted, all right? Showing you that Esau, Edom, you can't go up against them with weapons. You cannot be carnal. You have to have come up against them spiritually, all right? So let's get a few precepts, and if you want to check this out, that's the channel Redacted. Just go there and look for that. We never seen anything like it, all right? And it's a good, it's a good segment, okay? So let's get a few precepts. All right, this is the book of Isaiah, chapter 54 and verse 17. It reads, "No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper." So although Esau has all this technology and these weapons, he can't come up against the men of the Lord, all right? It says, "And every tongue that shall rise against thee in judgment thou shalt condemn." Right, and this is what we're doing now, all right? We're condemning this wicked place, which is why he's going to come after the men of the Lord, all right? Which is why he's going to come after Israelites in general, which is why he's already coming after Israelites, all right? And it's only going to heighten as we get closer and closer to the end of this thing, all right? So he's bold with it now, all right? He's coming out and just saying, we got the weapons and we're going to use them on you, all right? We're going to deploy them. We're going to use them. And if people start to react certain ways, because we got to keep our officers and agents safe out there on the field, we could care less, all right? This thing that we seeing now with these protests with this lady who got allegedly unalived by an ICE agent, Rachel Good or whatever her name is, it's all a prelude to what's really getting ready to go down, all right? When shit really hits the fan. So it says, "And every tongue that shall rise against thee in judgment, thou shalt condemn. This is the heritage of the servants of Yahweh," right? Which we pray that we are. "And their righteousness is of me, saith Yahweh," right? Because when the enemy should come in like a flood, the Lord's going to what? Vindicate the brothers, all right? He's going to raise up a small portion to give what? Spiritual powers. This is Isaiah chapter 59 and verse 19. It reads, "So shall they fear the name of Yahweh from the west, and his glory from the rising of the sun. When the enemy shall come in like a flood," that's the mad man sparing none, all right? And we've seen it, okay? But when it really gets to that point where they're going to be hunting, Israelites like they starting to do right now, but on a much grander, larger scale, all right? It says, "For when the enemy shall come in like a flood, the spirit of Yahweh shall lift up a standard against him." See? So all his weapons and all his technology, as we read in Isaiah 54 and 17, is not going to stand a chance against the men of the Lord, the elect men of the Lord. All right? That's why it says what? "I will make a man." It's not just any old regular man, and it's not just a regular Israelite man, but it's an elect Israelite man. Let's read that. Isaiah 13 and 12. It reads, "I will make a man," this is an elect Israelite man, "more precious than fine gold, even a man than the golden wedge of Ophir." Right? Because why? This man is going to be valuable in that time. All right? Because the Lord is going to be dealing with him. All right? The Lord is going to have his hedge, his protection around him when the enemy should come in like a flood. Let's read it again. When the enemy should come in like a flood, what's going to happen? It says, "When the enemy shall come in like a flood, the spirit, Rakah, of Yahweh shall lift up a standard against him." These troops, these martial law, they're going to be met with the power of Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai through his servants. "No weapon formed against them shall prosper." His servants, the prophets, man. And they're going to get busy. All right? Whoever those men be when the Lord lift up that standard. All right? We pray we of those men, Lord willing. And if we have to be the ones that get taken down for a testimony of Yahweh Shai, we good with that. All right? Any way it goes, we win. All right? But we cannot come up against this man carnally. All right, or physically. And that's why a lot of Jake gonna get taken out, because they don't understand the scriptures and they don't have faith. So they gonna get mowed down. You're gonna see a lot of, we already see, You know, those that's groping at noonday as if it was dark. But just wait till the shit really hits the fan, man. Jake gonna be out here flipping out, man. All right? But the weapons of our warfare are not carnal. Let's get that. 2 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 4. It reads, for the weapons of our warfare are not carnal. See? We understand we don't stand a chance against this damn devil, man. All right? He's got shit that we don't even know he got. That's just what he's willing to allow the public to access. Imagine what he's got when he really showcases what he's all about. Okay? You're going to have blood coming out of all your orifices, your eyes, your nose, your ears, your mouth, your privates. All right? You're going to be seeking for medical attention too. And unless you got that chip, good luck, man. All right? Good luck. All right? That's why, hey, we getting right with the Lord now. All right? So we don't have to compromise and take anything other than what we supposed to do, and that's to keep the Lord at our, forefront of all of our goings. All right? Meditate on this truth. So it says 2 Corinthians 10 and 4, for the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through the Most High to the pulling down of strongholds. Right? So we spiritually. All right? We're spiritual men. Okay? This Bible is our power. This holy Bible, the word of Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahweh Shai, is our most effective course of action against this damn devil. And we're condemning him right now. All right? And later, the Lord's going to lift up and raise up that standard that's going to get spiritual powers and take this man to a whole nother level he's never seen before. He's going to have brothers out here flying, shooting out laser beams from their eyes, their hands, running, doing all type of stuff. But as of now, we're that worm. All right? What's that, Isaiah 42? Jacob, thy worm. We can't come up against this dude, man. We're feeble. We're a worm. Might be Isaiah 41. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 41 and verse 14. It reads, fear not, thou worm Jacob. A worm ain't got no protection. See? We can't come up against this man, but the Lord is saying, fear not, thou worm Jacob, and ye man of Israel. Once again, this is the elect man. Isaiah 13 and 12, that he's going to make more precious than fine gold. I will help thee, saith Yahweh, and thy Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel. See? So we ain't got no protection. All right? We can't fight against these direct energy weapons, these acoustic sound weapons, and whatever else he got. That's why we got to have faith, man. We ain't going to deliver ourselves, man. And you stupid if you believe so. If you believe you're going to deliver yourself out of this captivity and what's to come through any type of revolution, take your ass out there and see how it's going to end up, man. All right? We know we got no hedge or protection without Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahweh Shai. So it says, fear not, thou worm, Jacob. Worm ain't got no protection. And ye man of Israel, I, Yahweh, through his only begotten son, Yahweh Shai, will help thee, saith Yahweh, and thy Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel. See? Man, Jacob's trouble. It's going to separate the elect from the non-elect. All right? And if whoever the elect is, they're going to come out on the other side, tried as gold. All right? Found worthy to be acceptable in the presence of the Lamb. Proverbs, is that 18 and 10? This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 18 and 10. It says, the name of Yahweh is a strong tower. This is the only protection we have against this cardinal man, Esau, that was given his blessing, which is the sword. It says, the righteous runneth into it and is safe. See? So this is all we got, man. This word, this truth, our faith, our belief, our actions, our works for when all hell breaks loose. We going to have that hedge of protection around us. Daniel 12 reads what? Let's go there. This is the book of Daniel, chapter 12 and verse 1. And at that time shall Michael stand up. See? It says, the great prince which standeth for the children of thy people, and there shall be a time of trouble. Man, you finna see it. The stage is being set right now. All right? So when you see people dropping to the left and to the right of you, just know the Lord is dealing with you. All right? The Lord is in that strong tower. It says, the great prince which standeth for the children of thy people, and there shall be a time of trouble, Jacob's trouble, such as never was since there was a nation even to that same time. Right, and we just see some of the weapons of this man's arsenal. All right, just imagine when he really gets ready to bring out his technology and his weapons and show off. You're going to see people out here bugging the hell out, man. Dropping left to right. You're going to know it's real then. And then you're going to know that, hey, it has been better to serve the Lord than to do whatever it was that you could have been doing. All right. It says, and there shall be a time of trouble such as never was since there was a nation even to that same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered. Right. The elect of Israel. All right, you 2/3 here in America, this is your final resting place, man, until you come back in the kingdom. It says, every one that shall be found written in the book, those are the elect, all right, men, women, and children, okay? Those are the only ones that's coming out alive here in America, all right? And elsewhere, but not to the extent that it's coming here to America the baddest, the worst. All right, because this is where the Great Awakening took place. All right, and this is that great city, that great whore that's going to be burned with fire. Okay? So this is why we need deliverance, man. All right? This is why it says, roughly paraphrasing, and he that served the Lord should know that there's no better thing. Okay? Because the Lord going to show up and stand out for us, man. He's going to send his angels to protect us. You know, he's going to lift up a standard for certain brothers to get spiritual powers when the enemy should come in. And hey, man, it's going to be a time like none other. All right. Jacob's trouble, man. We just at the beginning stages. All right. We just at the beginning stages. Esau knows he has but a short time. So he don't care about you knowing what he got now behind closed doors. Because why? He got to get this thing up and going. Revelation, and we get ready to shut it down, chapter 12 and verse 12. It reads, where we at? Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, right? Because that hammer, he's going to show you why the Bible called him the hammer of the earth. It says, for the devil is come down unto you. Why? Having great wrath, because he knoweth that he have but a short time. Right, so he's finna get loose. All right, he's finna get loose. He's finna show you what all he got. But see, that weapon that is formed isn't going to prosper against the men of the Lord, the elect. All right, so let's go ahead and close out with 1 Peter chapter 5 and verse 8. Okay, because these are words of encouragement. This is the book of 1 Peter chapter 5 and verse 8. It reads, be sober, be vigilant. See? So although we see what he has, we don't worry because why? We have our faith in Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai. It says, be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, you see the so-called white man, as a roaring lion walketh about, seeking whom he may devour. Right. The Lord gave him that power, man. All right. Isaac blessed him. Okay. To what? Rule with the sword. Okay? That's Esau's blessing, is this sword. You're not finna come up against this man. All right. He was created for that very specific reason. All right. Esau, 2nd Ezra, chapter 6 and verse 9, is the end of this world, this age, this era, this eon. And Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. Right. Then after this devil is taken out by Yahushua, we rule for eternity. But before that can happen, we got to go through this time like no other. Jacob's trouble. We got to go through these birthing pains before our Lord and Savior returns. So it says, be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour. All right. So with that being said, pray someone was edified through this lesson. And until the next time, if it be the Lord's will, stay strong, stay in the faith. We're almost home. Shalom. Peace.